Hello, I'm Dan Beaver and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and I've been in practice for about 45 years. So what I'm going to talk about comes a lot from my experience as being a therapist, seeing lots of couples and individuals over the years and what I've learned that works and what doesn't work, and so hopefully you'll find this helpful. Today I'd like to talk about a very popular concept, or a label really, and that's called codependency. We've talked about dependency previously in other videos. Now I want to talk about something called codependency. Now, a lot of people use that term, and I don't know if they know what that really means. They use it kind of like, oh, you're being codependent, or you're a codependent person, or you should go to a codependent group, and it's like labels again. But do they really know what that term means? When I ask people, a lot of times they don't know. They kind of have a vague idea, but they don't really know. So I really want to make it clear what that means. The term codependency came out, I would say, in the early 90s with a book called Codependency No More by Melody Beattie. She kind of put the term on the map. But before her, I hardly heard the word. When I was in graduate school, we didn't learn about codependency. We had another term called co-alcoholic. That's the closest it got to it. But it's a good term, and I like what it means. And anyway, so I want to define it. What does it mean to be codependent? Well, simply put, it means that you take responsibility for another adult in every way possible. You're responsible for their behavior and how they act. You're responsible for their emotional well-being. You're responsible financially for them, and you can be very responsible for them sexually. So that's a lot. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, just think of the idea. You're responsible for another adult. Now, to me, that's something wrong right there, because an adult should be responsible for themselves. That's, to me, what an adult means. They can take care of themselves in all the ways possible. Now, as a parent, I would be responsible for my children. That's a different story. That's totally different, okay? Children, by definition, are dependent for everything. And the younger they are, the more dependent they are until they get to a certain point where they should be launched or have the cord cut, and now they're on their own and they can take care of themselves. So that's the goal. But some people don't get out of that. They stay in that dependent role and they're with another adult who takes care of them. Now, what gets confusing here is people think that taking care of someone you love is caring, is loving, and that's a good thing. Well, as a parent, I would say that's true. But at a certain point, it's got to stop. And then if it doesn't stop, it's not caring, it's crippling. It's hurting someone because you're robbing them of the chance and the ability to take care of themselves. And they won't grow up. They're maybe 40, but they're not grown up in any kind of way that you're taking care of them. So it's a very confusing kind of idea to figure this out, because people a lot of times defend themselves. They think they're being nice when they're being codependent and caring and loving, and they're not. They don't get it. They're crippling their partner. And some parents do that to their kids, where you have a 30-year-old living at home with his parents. Think about that. 30 years old and he's still living at home, having his mother cook for him and do his laundry. No. See, that's unhealthy to me. You need to kick him out and get on his own and develop the confidence to do it yourself. But to not do that is really hurting him. Not taking care of him is messing him up, basically. Now, what does an adult get out of being codependent on another adult? What do you get out of being codependent? Why would someone take responsibility for another adult? That's the key thing. What's the payoff in this? Okay, so if you're responsible for something, like in a job, what does that imply? It implies that it's on you. You're in charge. You have the responsibility to make it happen. Now, that's a sense of power, and they pay you to be responsible. Okay, that's the idea. Now, if you're responsible for another adult, what that gives you is a false sense of control. Because if you're in charge of this other adult, then you have control over their well-being in whatever department you're talking about, whether it's financial or emotionally. They need you to take care of them. So that makes you feel like you're in charge. And for some people, that makes them feel very secure. There's security. Again, they got a person that can't function without them. So they won't have to worry about being abandoned as an adult. They won't worry about being alone because they always have this person who needs them to function. It's kind of a built-in security blanket. So that's where they go together. They kind of feed on each other. You have a dependent who can't function on their own and a codependent who takes care of them. Now, if you ever seen two people in a swimming pool who can't swim, what do? They cling to each other. And then they both sink to the pool, bottom of the pool, and die. They drown because they bring each other down. Now, if you have one person who can swim and the other one can't, they'll cling on and hang on and eventually bring everybody down to the bottom and die. So the idea of dependency to me, using that metaphor, is you have two people in the pool who both can swim and tread water and share that space, but nobody's clinging on to each other. They can just share the space and both function independently of each other. And that's more of what the model idea, the positive, would be. But codependency doesn't foster that at all. So the other payoff is that when you're a codependent person, you tend to get involved in everybody's dramas, I like to say. If you have friends and you're the they're always coming to you with their crisis. Or if you have a relationship or marriage with somebody who's a dependent, you're always in their drama. You're worried about what they're doing. It's like you monitor everything they do and you're watching it and concerned about it. And what that does is then you don't have to worry about you. You're not aware of what's going on in your life because you're so wrapped up in their life, even though they're an adult. You don't have your own life, basically. It's like as a therapist, people are usually, coming to see me because they have problems and they're looking for me to, make it better for them. And so if I was codependent, then I'd be wrapped up into their problems every day. And in doing that, I don't ever have to think about my own. I always say, for 8 hours, I'm involved in other people's lives. And I'm not thinking about Dan. I'm not thinking about stuff's going on in my life until I get on the way home and I'm driving home. And then I realize, oh my God, I got this, it's my life just comes banging in there. But when I'm doing therapy, I'm totally involved in them, their lives. So codependents are doing that worrying and concern and involvement all the time, 24/7 crisis management. In whatever way it is, and so they don't have to deal with their feelings. They don't even ask themselves how they feel. They're too busy involving themselves in someone else's life. Now, codependency, like I said, was not used when I was younger in my career, early days, and we never heard it in graduate school. But the term that we use, that I like, is a little different. It's similar, but it's called rescuing. I always want to make the distinction, am I rescuing somebody or am I helping them? Now, codependents are always rescuing. That's one and the same. Helping somebody is entirely different, okay? So rescuing is robbing another adult of the ability to do whatever it is that they want you to do for them. So my wife wants me to program our DVR to watch a TV show, and she needs me to do that every time, okay? And so if I do that, then she doesn't learn how to do it herself. So if I'm out of town, let's say, she doesn't know how to do it, so she has a problem. So what I'd rather do is teach her how to do it. So if I'm not around, she knows how to do it. And then if she asks me to do it, that's called helping. Helping is when you do something for someone who could do it themselves if you weren't there, but you're doing them a favor, kind of thing. And I'll never forget, this is a story I always talk about, I'll just make it brief, is that my kids wanted me to change a tire on their car because they visited me and they had a flat. And normally Dad would go out and fix the tire, the guy would do that for my two daughters. And I thought about it and I said, wait a minute, you need to learn how to do this yourselves. So I said, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna watch you guys do it. There's a manual in the glove compartment, there's a jack there, and let me watch you figure it out. You got time. And they were mad. They didn't like it. They said, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you being like how you usually are? And I said, no, I want you to learn how to do it because if I wasn't here, how would you change your tire? And of course, smart Alec would call AAA, I said, well, the cell phone doesn't work here. Now what are you going to do? all right, and they get mad. And anyway, bottom line is that they learned to do it, and they did it in like 45 minutes, and now they know how to change a tire. I don't need me, need me. Now, if they said, Dad, could you help? That's different. Then I'm not rescuing them. And, you know, if you're rescuing somebody all the time, they're going to be a real pain in the ass, and you're going to get sick of it and resent them. So you might start off kind of nice, and then you're going to get mad and attack them. Anyway, ask yourself, am I helping this person or am I rescuing? That's the key thing. And codependency fits right into that. You're codependent, picking them up again, rescuing them financially, emotionally, always depending on you to make them feel better instead of them learning how to do it themselves. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you subscribe to my channel and that you like these videos because there will be a lot more coming. All right, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.